So what does this do to Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value and trade timeline?
Was as someone said here on the chat, that 11th pick. Remember, we had talked about that because it was written about in an Athletic article. In fairness, we didn't. We're not. People call us Jimmy haters. We're not like trying to cape here. That to me is, not that was ever on the table.
No cap.
I think at this point in time, it's hard to even see a third-round pick, a tangible third-round pick. It's what I said you wanted to avoid at all costs, that contingent thing. It wasn't hard for the Eagles to accept the Carson Wentz contingency because they were bottoming out a little bit and they were hoping that it would go to a first-round pick. To me, the Niners contingent would be like, hey, I give you a fifth now, and next year it could turn into a third. Right? It could be like a 5 and a 3 or something. Like I think his value. It didn't take a blow today because whoever's trading for him is going to know this. But the surgery takes a blow to his value.
It's a reminder that you're acquiring a guy that gets hurt a lot. That's what, to me, the first thing about it is. Right?
Who's literally currently injured.
Who's currently injured. Yeah. Now, what did Schefter say? I think he gets traded this month. I think a healthy Jimmy, we felt pretty confident, gets traded in the next couple of weeks, as we discussed. March 16th is the beginning of the league year, so it's 2 weeks and change from this discussion.
And they have those 3 days where you can like tamper, remember?
The legal tampering. Yeah. How could you, again, these surgeries are for the most part run of the mill, and maybe this is not even that invasive of a surgery, but how you can't acquire him before he's had the surgery, right? So let's say he has the surgery the next week. You can't acquire him like, would you as a GM acquire Jimmy based simply on the doctor saying surgery went great before he's begun any rehab?
No, I think your trainers would have to talk to the doctor. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you're already bringing up things I haven't even thought about. It's really complicating the situation. You could argue that he gets a 6 now, and if he starts 80% of the games, it could kick up to like a second, but it's nothing now. You can't.
But he could also come out of surgery, it goes well, and then you get whatever you were going to get for him, right? He rehabs, clean bill of health, can throw, and then you acquire. Then if someone was going to give you a fourth, they give you a fourth. If someone was going to give you a third, they give you a third.
You're saying you don't trade him until training camp?
Yeah, I'm just saying if he can't throw until July 4th, how do I acquire him if he can't throw?
See, Guy, I have to have him off my roster to use that money.
Well, I understand. So now I'm an acquiring team. I'm not giving you a third-round pick for a guy that can't throw.
I mean, at this point in time, now that he's injured and now that it's tangible, like ultimately, if you had to, you would cut him. And maybe teams think that, like, because who's trading for that $27 million cap hit?
Well, I don't think. Guy? By the way, I don't think anybody
is cutting him on the table now. They're using that money. They are not keeping him on the roster going into free agency. They need that.
Maybe
money.
He delayed surgery to try and get cut.
Maybe so.
But right, ideally for him, he gets traded to a place he wants to go, and gets to renegotiate his contract. I think.
But who's extending him now? You can't. He's fucking injured.
Well, you don't extend him because you want to pay him for more years. You extend him to reduce the $27 million hit this year.
I know, but the power of the extension, like you're offering him nothing. It doesn't behoove him to extend. I hadn't thought about this. I think he's going to get cut unless they're willing to give him away for like a 7th round pick. They're not keeping him on the roster March 17th.
The value of the extension is what?
Well, ultimately, why would Jimmy give a fake, an extension to give you power to lower the cap number? Right? Like I could be a free agent next year.
Yeah, I mean, because he wants to go he wants to get something. Like he knows if he gets cut, he's not getting $27 million. He knows what is he getting if he gets cut?
But if I get cut, then I get to specifically choose my destination, and I get to I can just sign a 1-year deal and then I'm free to go. If all these teams
but what I'm saying is I think he's gonna to some degree be able to choose his destination even in a trade scenario. So what team wants Jimmy on the books for multiple years at this point? What's the most money he's going to get as a free agent?
$15 million.
Okay, so I'm saying in a world where you have to trade to acquire him because the Niners haven't cut him and there's a couple teams that want him, you acquire Jimmy, you pay him $15 million this year, you give him some weird extension that has him on the books next year, but
why would you want him on the books next year?
Well, you don't want him on the books next year. It's if you have to trade to acquire him, you don't want to pay him $27 million this year. So you give him some fake extension that lets him move on or you move on, next year. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just wondering, though, if this puts them getting cut in play and knowing like we can just not give up anything and get him for $14 million.
Maybe it comes down to how many teams think that. Because if multiple teams think that, then you can trade him for something. Right.
The $27 million cap hit's not nothing, though. And I do think GMs would really struggle. Like, if me and you were running a team, would you want to fucking extend them and, like, complicate your books even for next year with Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, that is not what I'd be in the book for or in the mood for.
No, but again, I'd be surprised if it turned into a complicated situation. He has an incentive to take less money to get to a place where he wants to get in a trade situation.
But the guy, this injury now, he's literally hurt, and to me, the conversation it's much more at the forefront. I think it changes the people you're talking to. It gives them leverage. The Niners lost a lot of leverage
I agree.
today.
I agree, but I don't think that necessarily changes the logic from his standpoint of where he can make money and how much money he can. No one's paying him. If he was healthy, nobody was paying him $27 million next year. I am 100% confident. No one was going to acquire him and pay him $27 million. Not a chance in hell. Not the Steelers, not the Texans, not anybody.
I agree, but if he was 100% healthy now, it'd be easier to be like, let's just give him that kind of fake extension, the 2-year, $35 million. Right. Now it's like we've seen it in a much different scenario with D Ford. You never want to get in the position where like, God, we didn't have to tie ourselves to this. We don't have to tie ourselves to this. So if everyone tells themselves they don't have to tie themselves to this, eventually the Niners, like, they will cut him because they need that money.
Yeah.
I think that he will be released if they have no offers now because of the injuries. I'm not saying they will have no offers, but if they had no offers, I believe he will be released.
Yes, if they have no offers, they won't have a choice but to release him. I still think there is some world where he gets a surgery after a few weeks, maybe not a few weeks. They don't have a few weeks. After a few days, Jimmy's okay. Jimmy's fine. Everything went well. And you're right. You probably end up trading for, one of those conditional picks that maybe has a big swing in it. Is a 6th becomes a 3rd or something like that.
Would you do that?
If I were the 49ers, a 6th becomes a 3rd?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would. If obviously, what are my alternatives? It's hard to say yes if I don't know my alternatives, but
I think it's fair to say the alternatives are probably not great right now. Because I was hoping you just get a 4th and just be done with it, but I don't know if that's on the table right now with a guy that can't participate in OTAs. Because part of it, if you're the Steelers, if you're the Commanders, if you're one of these teams, like, you'd want to get him in and hit the ground running, right? Because you're going to try to make the playoffs. You're going to try to get him on the same page as your guys. And now he's sitting there like this. It's one thing to sit there like this. If it's like, we just acquired Deshaun Watson. He's got a broken leg. No big deal. No one would care. It's like, you just acquired Jimmy Garoppolo, who's hurt. You're like, huh? Today was not good for the Niners. Now, they've obviously known this. Jimmy's known it. But it's just any team.
Why did it take until March?
Because they're all together and they're going to start starting to get serious.
No. Why does it take until March to get surgery?
Because I do wonder if Jimmy wants to get cut.
Jimmy's trying to force it.
I wonder if Jimmy's trying to get cut.
It makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Kind of genius. If that's the way it plays out, it's kind of genius.
Now, he was playing up until like a month ago. So when would he get surgery? Immediately after the season?
But why? But ultimately, you're helping the 49ers if you do that.
Yeah. Who made a move to get rid of you last year. Hard to blame him. I don't blame him for doing a little Shaq move.
To me, it's business. It's like, wait a second, I can do something that makes me more in control of my future. Why wouldn't I do that? And by the way, I always think this: if you're a player helping orchestrate a trade to a team, you want that team to give up as little for you as possible, right? So,
but is Jimmy thinking like he's Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
No, not necessarily, but I just like, what if I can control it? You're telling me I just wait a month on surgery and then I'm more in control because we're going to call their bluff. They're going to have to release me. Why wouldn't I do that?
Could Jimmy get cut and then just wait till training camp to sign with the team?
Yeah.
Till he's healthy?
I mean, wait to see who drafts who.
Because he just had that happen to him and it kind of rattled him.
The thing you don't want is like the Steelers are like, we can't wait around. We move up and take a guy in the first round that they wouldn't have otherwise done if they have Jimmy.
Yeah.
But
It's risky.
But it doesn't feel like a windfall is coming for the 49ers at this point.
I think the move would be I would wait till they cut him. I agree with this comment.
That Niner guy?
I hadn't even thought about that. Now, I text a couple people that are on the ground floor there that are in the league. Not necessarily they wouldn't be teams Jimmy would go to. They still thought like fourth. But again, like they're not living and dying with Jimmy, talking about it like internally. So to me, this is one of those where you're just like, it had to come out eventually, and we would have known it, even if they would have not told the teams and he showed up, like they would have reneged, right?
Yeah, well, they wouldn't have consummated, John.
Yeah, they wouldn't have consummated.